Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening.
Hold one, Andre.
You're not good at this. Get out. Let me tell you a personal story about Vince McMahon.
You just made the list.
Oh my God!
Sorry, no speak English.
Dummy. Goodbye and good night. Hold two, on bar.
It's still real to me, damn it!
Dummy.
This is the worst town I've ever been in.
Hold three, Lamas covered, three-handle family Gradunzel.
Mamma mia!
And now, Unchained.media presents the B Plus Podcast with your host, Greg Unchained.
It's me, Austin! It was me all along, Austin!
Number 4, Armbar.
I will never retire!
I still got 200 more. I got 200 more holes to list.
Good afternoon, everyone out there in the B Plus land. It is me, Mr Myster1ous, and we are doing the latest week of All the Rest, where we cover all the wrestling news that has just popped up in this wacky, weird world that we call professional wrestling. You guys know that we have podcasts for everything. We have podcasts for your Impact needs, your WWE needs, Ring of Honor, New Japan. We are covering everything for you guys. We've got it down to a science, and anything that we don't cover during our usual things, you talk to me. You see this guy, you hear me, and we talk and we have a good time. Little bit of housekeeping before I start, guys. Of course, the birthday news. Where will we be with all the rest without some birthday news? Happy 54th birthday on March 16th, the time I'm recording, to Steve Armstrong, a former WCW star, former champion, I believe. Not many birthdays for the time I'm recording, but the next day, March 17th, there's a couple of big ones. The man who would have been 44, former Intercontinental Champion Test. Rest in peace to him. But the big one is Samoa Joe, the Samoan submission machine, turns 40. He's cracked the 40s. And the new United States champion, of course, big congratulations to him. I hope he has a very big celebration ahead of him. As always, guys, we're going to have a bit of MLW news, All Elite Wrestling, NWA, who's injured, who's not, who's coming back, who might be coming back. I'm going to help you decipher all the news that's come out, starting with MLW episode 48, main evented by AC Romero going up against Simon Gotch. And this is all the extra footage that has come out from Intimidation Games last week, so technically making his MLW debut, but still continuing on. Jim Cornette is back on commentary. Thank God. I loved him last week, and I love him even more this week, because this is just your basic MLW episode. There wasn't much to go through here, to be honest, but I'll do the best I can. We opened a cold open, of course, recapping last week with Tom Lawler retaining. We had Ace Austin going up against DJZ. This is just your standard kind of middleweight match with lots of action, fast pace, not much storytelling, if at all. I don't see anything developing with these two guys. It's just to show how diverse the middleweight division can be, and some maybe potential contenders for the middleweight champion Teddy Hart down the line. Who knows? I can definitely see Ace Austin being a champion after this, because yeah, there was a lot of fast-paced action. I think the commentary kind of took a while to keep up with it all. Ace Austin won the match. He caught DJZ mid-flip to hit him with a reverse neckbreaker kind of move. That was what he got the win with. Ace is hitting a lot of innovative maneuvers. Like, he did a lot of angled head scissors over the top rope into the ring. The guy can do no wrong. He did his recent debut in Impact last week. He's a solid wrestler. Of course, DJZ, he's no slouch either. Both strong middleweight match, but really, your standard fare with MLW. It's what you expect. Selena De La Renta has a little segment backstage. She's getting interviewed, and Mance Warner spilled some light beer on her. Tries to apologize, but she is pissed. And it looks like this is the start of good old Mance having a little bit of a feud with Promociones Dorado, because Not long after that, Hijo de LA Park tried to beat the crap out of Mance. Didn't really work out. Hijo came back to Selena a little bit disheartened, saying he couldn't get the job done. She got even more pissed, beat him up with her handbag. Looks like I can see a nice strong feud developing there. I'm a bit confused though, because the last I remember, Gringo Loco was on a similar path against Promociones Dorado. Whether they'll team up down the line, that would kind of help coalesce things. I think that would be great. Otherwise, you're ditching one storyline to have the exact same thing with another star who, of course, is a bigger name, but at the same time, we want to see more. We want to see everyone have their moment in the sun in the land of professional wrestling and the land of MLW. Couple other promos, of course. We had another Jimmy Havoc promo. We don't know when he's coming back to MLW specifically. We know he's going to be having his next Rise of the Renegades event. At the Rise of the Renegades, he'll be facing off against Tom Lawler for the MLW Heavyweight Championship. We had Dr. Nelson Swegler calling up the status of Tom Lawler after the Contra unit attacked him last week. Really weird segment. It's very cringy. Whoever did the voiceover for Dr. Swegler, if that's his real voice, because he's saying all this stuff that Tom Lawler may never compete again, which, coming from that, like, just listen to the latest MLW. It's free on YouTube, guys. Subscribe to MLW and listen for yourself, because me describing it can't really do any justice. It's a very peculiar voice that they use with this doctor. Simon Gotch cut some mustacheless promo. Like, I trust him less now without the mustache. I don't know what it is, and especially with his new faction that he's got, the Contra unit with Jacob Fatu, I believe I mispronounced that last week, and Samael. I'm really curious how these guys are going to go. We had Alexander Hammerstone going up against Isaiah Velasquez. Interestingly enough, Hammerstone was on the phone earlier talking to Dynasty, which I believe might be referring to MJF and Richard Holiday. We could maybe see a faction forming there as well. More factions, more people in MLW. Love it. This match was just an enhancer match to show just how solid Alexander Hammerstone is, because the guy is, like, he's got everything at the moment. He's got the look, he's got the aesthetic, he looks confident in the ring. Of course, he hit his amazing finisher, the Nightmare Pendulum. I've never seen this before. I've never seen any other wrestlers do this before. Keep doing it, because I'm really curious how, I believe he's had a match with Brian Pillman at Intimidation Games, which I haven't seen yet. I'm curious how they're going to look after both stars. So I'm hoping that Pillman goes with the win, but of course it might not be clean, so Hammerstone can still have a little bit of a thing going on. Perfect opponent for someone like even the world champion down the line. Like, big clash of personalities, and yeah, Hammerstone's got a bright future ahead of him. We had MJF and Holiday cutting a backstage segment about Beluga Caviar, which is, yeah. And no H2TV, weirdly enough, but we just had the Heart Foundation backstage, having some drinks, calling out the Dynasty, and just saying that they're going to kick their ass. Which, to the point, not the usual weird thing you hear with H2TV, where they're kind of being a bit vague and just talking about other things. Of course, the main event, if you can call it that, Ace Romero versus Simon Gotch, where the end of the match was the Contra unit show up and just stomp Romero down, and Contra is doing, like, they're the new hotness in terms of factions, because Samael comes out with a railroad spike and just full on, like, I hate spike spots. I don't know, like, some people, like, who love the hardcore wrestling, that might be your thing, but with me, like, forks, spikes, like, I'm not a fan. I cringe the crap out of, like, seeing all that stuff happen. But it did its job. It's effective, because this, if before the Contra unit stuff, I would have thought Ace Romero would have just squashed Simon Gotch, because it seemed like he had nothing else going for him. He was going to just be pushed down the card, but he's kept himself relevant with this stuff. I feel bad for him, though, because the chants throughout his match, "Where's your mustache?" He kept doing this. Simon rolls out of the ring. He tells commentary, no flips, just kicks and fists. He's like, is he taking fun of the revival? Is that what's happening? He's trying to make a stick out of it, but Contra is, again, the new hotness. We'll see what happens with them down the line. We have the only match I believe I saw for next week's preview is, of course, the Tag Team Championship match between the Hart Foundation going up against MJF and Richard Holiday. Now, the Hart Foundation are doing this under Freebird rules, their Tag Team Championship reign, so we don't know what combination of champions we will see. I imagine it will be Teddy and Davey Boy, but you never know. You never know with the Hart Foundation. They are very unpredictable, and that's one of the reasons that we all love them. So yeah, your pretty standard MLW episode coming off of Intimidation Games. I'm looking forward to the other big events, the big matches that will be coming out from there. So I'm hoping that Hammerstone and Pillman will be having their match and on the same episode as the Hart Foundation tag match. That would be lovely. We've got some AEW news, guys. We have episode 142 of Being the Elite and episode 7 of Road to Double or Nothing. I'll cover Double or Nothing first just because it's a little bit shorter. But essentially what we went through was Dr. Britt Baker, dentist, going through, she's talking about her history, balancing professional wrestling and her dentistry career, talking about how she wants to really make change with her wrestling. She talks about Nyla Rose and Kylie Ray, saying that she's looking forward to a really strong women's match between them. Like, it's just all about amping up women's wrestling in this and just amping up Britt because she's having her own theme song being developed during this episode of Double or Nothing. Seems like they've really got a lot of faith in her, which, of course, like, how many wrestlers do you know off the top of your head with doctor's degrees in any field, whether it's science or otherwise? So little things like that. We were focusing, of course, on Cody on his road to recovery. MJF is actually a good friend in Double or Nothing rather than Being the Elite, because in Being the Elite he's just a cunning prick, and in Double or Nothing he seems genuine. It's very weird, but it shows the range that MJF has for being so talented. He just had his birthday the other day. He turned 23. So talented for one so young. What a bastard. But Cody is still on the road to recovery. Brandy gave him a nice, sweet cane with, looked like Farrah the dog on it. Or like a little bit of a memorabilia thing on the cane tip. And yeah, so road to recovery for him. Focusing on women's wrestling. And we ended that episode with Chris Jericho pretty much dialing up the heat, just saying, like, you should be thanking me the next time you call me a bastard, I'm going to slap your face in. And Kenny Omega should be thanking me for his job. Chris Jericho is responsible for everyone's success in All Elite Wrestling. He's responsible for everything, according to him. So I'm really curious how down the line, how grandiose, how delusional he'll get. Because the more the better, because Chris Jericho, the dude has a lot of range to him. He can pull off a lot of stuff. Of course, Being the Elite, guys, episode 142, or as I like to call it, the Michael Nakazawa episode, because we cold open with Matt Jackson just repeating over and over again. Michael Nakazawa is just ready to explode because Kenny Omega has signed Nakazawa instead of Kota Ibushi. And I don't think we covered this last week when the reveal was made, but for those of you who are wondering as well, like the Young Bucks are, like, who the hell is Michael Nakazawa? He's a former DDT Extreme Champion. He's a former KOD Tag Team Championship twice with Kenny Omega, so that's how they know each other. He's mainly been a kind of gimmick star in the land of Japan. I believe he's in his 40s now. Like, he's been a part of the scene for a while, but it's just, yeah. He's not had much to his name, and this is just another chance for him to show his comedic chops. So he's one of those kind of characters, and yeah, again, if you take anything away from Being the Elite, it's Michael Nakazawa. We had Sammy Guevara, again, with the whole stick of everyone. He acts so nice, but everyone thinks he's a prick. And interestingly enough, after he's saying how, to this one guy, I'm sorry I didn't see your match, and then after he leaves and everyone's calling him arsehole, he's just like, we were in the same match together. So I was like, oh, that's an extra twist to it. Like, he's a bit delusional in how happy he is. Maybe might be something they do. SCU is in Adelaide. They're in Australia, of course, for World Series Wrestling. Of course, it just capped off. But it was so lovely just to see them say the stuff they say in Australia. Oh, I pop so hard. This is the worst town I've ever been in Adelaide, because Adelaide technically is a city, but if you know people from there, they call it a town, because it really is that kind of town feel. They're saying shit like the koalas are throwing crap at them, the kangaroos weren't giving them the time of day. Kangaroos never give anybody the time of day. They do their own shit. Damn it, Daniels. Damn it, SCU. You should know this by now. But seriously, guys, they had an amazing tour of World Series Wrestling. We did cover that earlier in the week. All 5 days where they went to Adelaide, Melbourne, and Sydney for a couple nights each, I believe, except for Adelaide. We had some stuff where the Young Bucks were going over their old wrestling matches they did in their backyard. They released the footage, which was really awesome to see. They're so talented, even back then, how they did all their stuff. This next bit interested me because we have MJF and Brandy sitting at the dinner table after Cody has retired for the night, and he's calling her a gold digger, but he's confused because he thinks gold diggers should be attractive. And Brandy's just like, well, one of us has to die now, you understand that? And we've got a little bit of a feud going on, so Brandy knows exactly who MJF is. I don't know who is going to come out better on this, but MJF, if you're really trying to get in between a man and his wife, you might want to hedge your bets there, buddy, because Brandy is a queen and you cannot convince me otherwise. We had Joey Ryan. He was there for World Series Wrestling as well. He was trying to find someone to give him a hand in protecting himself because he's so brittle now. He'll get attacked by everybody. SCU declined the offer. Flip declines the offer. He gets jumped by Gino Gambino, who doesn't appear. You only see his back for like 3 seconds before he's chased away by Fat Ass Massa. And he says, "Where's the blonde girl that was with you?" Which I don't know if it means his wife or Cody. I felt like it meant Cody because that would have been funnier. But I was so annoyed because Gino did this amazing promo on Twitter where he was like the card shark and he challenged Cody to something, saying, "What are you willing to gamble?" because he was facing Joey Ryan during the tour. I was expecting this would be the perfect opportunity for a member of the Elite to come down and appear in World Series Wrestling, be the next surprise stop. The opportunity was right there, and they didn't take it. I was thinking, or maybe Gino would be signed with All Elite, like something. They had the chance to do something magical there, like something blow everyone's minds. It didn't happen. I was a bit bummed, but we'll move on. And really, we ended the show with the guys getting ready for their next stop. A lot of stuff on All Elite Wrestling's horizon, as with a lot of the shows that we are covering here, guys. So NWA, the episode 51 came around. Wasn't really much new developments. These latest episodes haven't given us much detail, but this was just a chance for Nick Aldis to talk to the great Harley Race, the 8-time NWA World Champion, an iconic figure of professional wrestling. And it was so good to hear from him. He's just one of those people who, he doesn't say much, but when he speaks, he has something to say. And more people should be like that. Really, so we covered a little bit more about Marty Scurll and his quest for the NWA Championship. I'm really curious how much they're going to string this long, because when they do really long, continuous episodes about the contender for the title, it means that they even have an even greater chance of taking the title away from the champion, which is what happened with Cody, building up to All In. Maybe Marty will do it. And of course, he's in line for another title, the Ring of Honor World Championship, where the winner of Jay Lethal and Matt Tevin for the world title at the anniversary show, they will face Marty Scurll at the G1 Supercard. So the villain is everywhere, guys. We could see a new belt collector on the horizon. I hope so. I have a lot of high hopes for the villain. Before we get into the other wrestling news, guys, I'm going to cut to our super producer with a quick word from our sponsors.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Hey everyone, just want to take a second to tell you about one of our new sponsors, Outbreak Nutrition. Outbreak Nutrition are creating supplements for survival, sharper minds, quicker reflexes, all the energy you need to take your performance to the next level, whether that be on the field, in the gym, on the gaming field. That's right, they have specifically designed gaming supplements as well to help you focus on those late night sessions. They even sell coffee, you guys, at Outbreak Nutrition. You can get coffee pods, you can get coffee beans, you can get supplements for the bedroom as well if you want to enhance your performance there. These are performance enhancing supplements for every aspect of your life, specifically designed by gamers, for gamers, to stay fit and healthy in the gym, to stay sharp and focused on the game, and to dominate in all areas of life. So check out OUTBREAKNutrition.com, and for being a listener of our podcast, they will give you 10% off your order when you enter the code B+. That is BPLUS at checkout. So make sure, if you want to stay on top of your game, if you want to take your performance to the next level, OUTBREAKNutrition.com, enter the code B+ at checkout. Hey guys, just a reminder, if you want to hear all of these wonderful B+ podcast episodes completely ad-free, make sure you head over to Patreon or Podbean, where we are the featured podcast this week. You can subscribe for as little as $1 a month up to $10 a month, where anything you want to help us with, it really helps out. It's going to help us grow the site. It's going to help us redesign some things, and everything that we get through this and through the advertising as well is all going straight back into the podcast so that we can get Aussie Graps out there for the rest of the world to hear about, for the rest of the world to see, so we can grow this mission of watch global, support local, and build indie wrestling. So if you want to be a part of that and get some really cool rewards like call-in shows, bonus episodes, ad-free like I mentioned, then head over to patreon.com/theb+ and subscribe today.
And we are back, guys. Now let's kick off, as we always do, looking at the bench warmers, the guys who are leaving, the guys who are returning. Let's start with returns. Potential return, might have already returned. Luke Harper of the Wyatt family. He appeared at a house show in his hometown where he faced off against Mojo Rawley. Gee, I wonder who won that match. But he's been off the shelf for a while. That's the reason why the Bludgeon Brothers, Harper and Rowan, had to vacate the tag titles because of Harper getting injured. And now it looks like he's back, but whether he'll go onto a main roster show eventually, I don't know. It might have been just a little spot for the hometown boy. I hope if he does appear, that he appears on Raw, because I want him away from the Wyatt family. I don't want them to reunite it. I don't want him to be the next disciple of Daniel Bryan. I think Rowan and Daniel Bryan is enough. Harper should have his own run as a singles competitor. I think he's earned it with the years of being a part of the Wyatt family, which, let's be honest, that should have been the biggest faction ever, with Bray Wyatt as the WWE champion and the Bludgeon Brothers, or back then just Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, as a tag team champions. Like, the big spooky stable should have had all the gold. It never really happened, not at the same time anyway. But we'll see what happens in the coming weeks. And of course, the Beast, the Universal Champion, the guy who, yes, he's the Universal Champion. You forget because he's not on Raw, like, ever. But he is making an appearance next week, building up to WrestleMania, where he'll be defending his title against Seth Rollins. Can the Kingslayer slay the Beast? God, I hope so. But we'll see. Brock Lesnar, he'll probably do his shtick with Paul Heyman talking for him and everything else, like we've always seen, like we're used to. God, I hope he beats him at WrestleMania. That's just, it should be just a quick and easy thing. Moving right along, guys, we've got the injury list. We've got a couple people here, actually. I'll mention David Finlay, we mentioned a few weeks ago. Turns out that it was his shoulder that got injured. He did his shoulder, and he's going to be out of action for at least 6 months with that. So, just more of a understanding of why he is out of action. We had Brody King. I can't say injured because, so he did his hand during the latest World Series Wrestling Tour. Of course, he is one half of the tag team champions in World Series with Marty Scurll, Villain Enterprises. And he even said that it's not going to impede him from his upcoming matches in the next coming months, so it will probably take time to heal. But again, it doesn't seem like it stopped him because if the reports are to be believed, that he is the new Ring of Honor Tag Team Champion alongside PCO. Villain Enterprises is collecting all the gold around the world. Congratulations to you. I can't believe in such a short space of time from leaving MLW and going to Ring of Honor that he's already a tag team champion. Amazing. Incredible stuff from him. This is one of the weird injuries that came across our desk. Chelsea Green made her NXT debut. She won her match and she broke her wrist. So she's one and done for the time being, which is, if you watch her match, go check it out. So what happened, guys? The 27-year-old Chelsea Green, she's actually dating Zack Ryder, I believe, but she took to Twitter. She explained, she updated everyone about her injury. She's saying that she got the opportunity to wrestle for the first time for NXT after years of dreaming it. She had the chance, and it doesn't matter. She's a bit sore, but guess what? She won. So, very good stuff from her. Hopefully, she can bounce back from this. It's only been her first match, so she hasn't lost any momentum, I don't believe. If they keep booking her like that, who knows what will happen. Potential leaving. So we've got a couple potential injured, potential leaving kind of candidates this week. Tennille Dashwood, aka Emma. She's expected to be a free agent from Ring of Honor at the moment because Ring of Honor has not chosen to renew her contract just yet. Whether they will do that in the next coming weeks or next month remains to be seen. I'm not too sure. Hopefully, of course, Emma, Australian girl, very talented. I would like to see her continue with Ring of Honor, continue with the Lifeblood. She might go elsewhere. Let us know where you would like Emma to appear. I should get used to calling her Tennille, but where would you like to see Emma appear? Let's go through all the other wrestling news, guys, starting with Rusev Day. It's a sad day, this Rusev Day, because the little fact that's been revealed this week is that Rusev has tied the record for the longest WWE pay-per-view losing streak. The former US champion, this is not a record that nobody wants to accomplish. Rusev is, of course, now in a tag team with Shinsuke Nakamura, which makes absolutely no sense. And he's had 17 straight pay-per-view matches, all of them losses. If he loses at WrestleMania, he will be the new winner of the worst record in WWE history. This is just a bad time for Rusev Day. WWE seems like him and his wife Lana, it seems like they just tried to punish them for getting over on their own without the assistance of WWE, without the company behind them. They managed to get the fans loving Rusev Day, chanting Rusev Day. It was a white hot thing. It should have been the biggest thing ever, and they did nothing with it. They gave Rusev the US title for a month, and then they gave it to Nakamura, and then they gave it to R-Truth, and now it's with Joe, which I hope that they keep it on Joe for a long time so that we can just develop the US title belt into something worthy of a mid-card title. I'll cut to Lana, she's in the news as well for a very bizarre thing. She's challenged Asuka to a match at WrestleMania for the women's title, which no one else is. But she's got her YouTube series called I'm Salty. The reason she challenged Asuka in this fashion is because Mandy Rose just announced to the world that she'll be facing Asuka, and she just got her match at Fastlane. So she's responding in kind. I don't see Lana having a match with Asuka at WrestleMania. That'd be something that we can maybe build to. I can see it being a feud with Mandy on the pre-show, but I do respect Lana's approach. I do respect this idea of her making this series, and it could really lead to something and give her a bit of credibility back, because as much as we want to forget it, she was so brittle in her feud when Rusev was feuding with Nakamura. Just one strike was enough to injure her and take her away, which she's a wrestler. She can take bumps. And of course, she wasn't in the Women's Royal Rumble. And who took her spot? The man Becky Lynch, and she went on to win the whole bloody thing. Weird world of wrestling. I keep repeating it, but it's true. And this week is no different, guys. We have the latest batch of WWE Performance Center signs. We have Robert Strauss, renowned manager Stokely Hathaway, and second-generation wrestler Cal Bloom. They're the newest recruits for the Performance Center. So, Cal Bloom is the son of former WWE star Wayne Bloom, who wrestled as Bo Beverly, if you're familiar with him back in the day. Robert Strauss, aka Robbie E., former TNA television champion, Impact alumni. He's been a part of Impact Wrestling for a number of years before he left not too long ago. And yeah, he was a recent contestant on the Rock's Titan Games show this year. Good to see him, he's part of the Performance Center. We'll see his debut eventually, but it's good to see him get out of his whole Geordie Shore, Jersey Shore gimmick and maybe into something a little bit more serious. And Stokely Hathaway, man, this is the big one for me. Renowned manager with MLW and Evolve. Of course, Evolve has the relationship with WWE, which is why this makes a whole bunch of sense to me. Remember back in MLW when they seemed to be implying that Stokely would be representing Shane Strickland, who is now also expected to be a part of NXT down the line. Yeah, whether they maybe introduce him that way as his latest client, or they just keep that hush-hush. It would be weird to have a storyline that started with MLW and went to WWE. I think they might want to fact-check that so that doesn't actually happen. Otherwise, it will seem like WWE are trying to curry favor from the indie brand, which of course is not what they like to do. We had some other news come out from WWE Raw this week. Of course, we had Kurt Angle announcing, we mentioned a little bit last week, how it was expected that he'd be retiring or announcing something. And of course, sure enough, he announced that he would have his final match at this year's WrestleMania. And he's got this next few weeks, we're going to be building up to his final match with WWE ever. And then he should be retiring. Now, I hope that it means he properly retires and we don't see him in another wrestling promotion down the line. I feel like it's genuine. I feel like this is going to be his actual last match doing something. Whether that be he goes on to maybe do another manager position down the line, I'd be fine with that. But in terms of wrestling career, let's end it on a high. And apparently he's going to reveal his final opponent at this week's Raw. I'm gunning for John Cena. End it the way it started. Ruthless aggression, smack to the face. Look it up, guys, how John Cena started his career. It makes sense. It's right there. I would love that. We have Alexa Bliss has been reported to be hosting WrestleMania this year. I say it looks like, but it's been confirmed. She confirmed on Raw on her talk show, and it shows the amount of support that Alexa Bliss has with WWE Creative, even though she has been wrestling, and we don't know when she's going to be wrestling. Like, it seemed like she was okay, then she wasn't, then they're taking her with kid gloves, and I don't think it matters at this point. Maybe she will surprise everybody and insert herself into a women's title match, like the SmackDown one. Make it a bit more spicy, bit more of an element, like she walks away with the SmackDown title, give it a bit of relevance, because it's been forgotten with the Raw Women's Championship match. Just my musings. Like, I don't want this to turn into a CJ ship booking situation, but we'll see how we go, guys. WWE they're in the news this week for a lot of weird things, and the big thing for them, they've reached 1 billion social media followers. 1 billion. Like, of course, this is across multiple platforms, so several people could have the same accounts across all these different places, but this is a huge accomplishment. I'll run it through quickly, guys. 501 million total likes on Facebook, which is more than Marvel, Nike, UFC, and of course the biggest American athlete, the most followed athlete on Facebook is John Cena. 44 million likes. This is crazy. These stats are all on WWE.com. 226 million followers on Instagram, 221 on Twitter, 46 million subscribers on YouTube, then making the #1 sports channel on YouTube ahead of all the other shows, all the other sports shows. And WWE has a whole bunch of other social media platforms like Snapchat, WeChat, V+, Weibo, Yuko, Periscope, Pinterest. Half this stuff I don't even know, but it all amounts to one thing: 1 billion social media followers. Greg and I talked a few episodes ago, like a few months ago it feels like, how Stephanie McMahon said she wants WWE to be as big as Disney, if not bigger, down the line. And as much as it was just like, some people, the initial reaction is get real, and we kind of just went, no, respect to her. Like, these numbers don't lie. Like, down the line, like, obviously I don't think that they can beat Disney, but the actual goal to be bigger and better and to have this, WWE is the biggest social media platform there is for a professional wrestler. And this is just proof positive. It doesn't matter whether you feel that the quality of the wrestling isn't up to standard compared to other promotions. The main thing is because their thing, of course, is sports entertainment. And in terms of entertainment, they have such a diverse category of things, diverse catalog of things for everybody out there. Other stories coming out, guys. I'm trying to get through this as quick as I can because we've got some weird ones. Real Slim Shady, please stand up. It was a weird little thing throughout this week where it looked like Eminem was going to be appearing on SmackDown to promote a collaboration with WWE for their next series of 2K games. Did it happen? No. This was just a rumor, right? The rumor was that WWE has come to some sort of agreement to provide music for the soundtrack and then subsequently appear on SmackDown. But a representative of Eminem released a statement to Pro Wrestling Sheet, denied the rumors, saying it was a brief conversation that involved a third party in 2K Sports and has not gone beyond preliminary discussions. So any reports to the contrary are false. This doesn't mean that maybe down the line they could entertain the idea of Eminem collaborating. Like, if this is a little bit of a test the water situation, I would love to see Eminem collaborate with SmackDown, with WWE, especially if they move to Fox. Like, I think this is also one of those things where Eminem is such a wide superstar, like one of the most renowned rappers going around today. Yeah, Slim Shady, like, of all the weird stars you've had on Raw and SmackDown, like the weird musicians and sports stars and movie stars, like, get us Eminem. Like, just for the hell of it, I would love to see, just for a laugh, why not? We have some weird indie news for you guys. I'm going to try and get through this. Chris Jericho is set to be a part of Clerks 3. So the road to reboot, if you've been following Kevin Smith on his YouTube channel, it's the episodic thing where the last time we had a Clerks movie was in 2006, which Ben Affleck was in it. This is back when he was in movie jail before he started directing and became a really big director and a big actor, award-winning actor again. Then he became Batman, and now he's not Batman, and I just reminded myself, and I'm sad. But moving back, Chris Jericho. We've been talking about the Netflix Hulk Hogan movie for the past few episodes, so other movie news that we can talk about in the weird world of wrestling. Chris Jericho, Clerks 3. Don't know what to expect. I expect Chris Jericho to be very snippy, very obnoxious in a Kevin Smith movie. He might be. I can see him having his list. I see a weird segment with him and Silent Bob. Like, $50, little man, put that shit in my hand. Give me Clerks 3. We've been waiting for many years for it. I've got a weird little bit of collaboration stuff here, guys, to nearly finish the show. So we'll start with Joey Ryan is returning to Impact Wrestling, kinda. So he put his name up to face off against Tessa Blanchard at the United We Stand pay-per-view. It was originally meant to be, I believe, Eddie Edwards, who turned down the offer to face Tessa because he's not a fan of intergender wrestling. A lot of people seem to be against intergender wrestling during this week, which I will get to in a second. The last time we saw Joey Ryan in Impact was back in like 2012, 2013. So it'd be great to see him. And I had fans messaging me during the week saying like, do you expect him to do the same things he usually does to guys that he does to girls? And by that they mean, do you expect him to do the dick suplex, the lollipop, and everything else? And my answer to that is absolutely. Joey Ryan has wrestled as many women as he has men, if not more. He's done more intergender wrestling than any male performer I know off the top of my head that I've ever seen. And he's good. He makes women look great. When he's a heel, when he's the king of sleaze, he can really make them seem like the valiant ass kickers. And when he's a face, like, he can still pull it off just like that. Like, look to World Series Wrestling. Where he faced off against Jordan Grace. That will be coming out in the next couple months. Go watch it, guys. Like, off the top of my head, he's faced off against women like Saraya Knight and Tessa Blanchard. This will be a great match, guys, so don't knock it. It's going to be incredible. And, of course, more people to Impact. Can't fault them for that. I'm going to talk about Santino Marella. Speaking about intergender wrestling, Santino Marella has come out in an interview and said that he's not a fan of intergender wrestling. He's saying that it gives women a sense of overconfidence. Now, this could be taken out of context. Like a few episodes ago, the last time when we talked about Disco Inferno, with his views on women's wrestling, which turned out to be an angle with Scarlett Bordeaux. So I'm reserving my judgment if this is an angle. But so this is in response to the match between Joey Ryan and Tessa Blanchard announced, and in the latest edition of Behind the Lights with Alicia Tut, she asked him about it, and yeah, he said, if there's a girl out there that says this guy's giving us attitude, I'm going to step in and fight him. And then she gets her ass kicked, then that was because of intergender wrestling giving her that false sense of confidence, which, I don't know. I'm reserving my judgment because, like, Santino has been such a comical personality in the world of professional wrestling, especially during his time in WWE, and he's now since retired. It's weird, and like he started digging the hole even deeper. He started going towards transgender athletes, where he's saying that there needs to be a barrier. If you were born a man, you converted to a woman, and you fight women in like MMA, he's saying that that's not on, that you need to, or the other way around, saying that it's not fair to compete against women in sports because you were born with different physical attributes, which I understand where he's coming from, and it's one of those things where, yeah, like, I'm assuming this is legit. Like, as much as he wants a barrier, we need to come across, like, I think the barrier would be like a weight division if it came to that, in terms of trans wrestlers, trans athletes like that, to counteract any physical elements. Like, I don't take this to mean that he's against all trans wrestlers, but if that's the case, then he needs a bit of a reality check, because, yeah, that's not on, Santino. Be better, mate. And I'm going to end, guys. We've got a weird one this week. I had other stuff to end on, but I've got an editor's note from super producer Greg, who at Nerf Point threatened me and told me essentially that he wants everyone to know that he thinks Priscilla Kelly is a bae, that she's an amazing worker, that this angle that I'm about to talk to you about should lead to something down the line with All Elite Wrestling. Hopefully he wants to see her as part of All Elite Wrestling. He wants her to have every success in life, and yeah, he's just a big Priscilla Kelly fan. She is pretty much the female Joey Ryan, which is weird if you think about it, but makes sense for this, because the headline is, guys, that Priscilla Kelly went up against Joey Ryan. Now, some people are against Joey Ryan. I love Joey Ryan. Like, the guy has made a killing in such. The guy is late 30s, I believe, maybe 40, but he's not the biggest worker. Like, he hasn't got a big moveset, but he makes so much of his earnings, like doing the penis plex, putting a lollipop that he's held in his trunks in someone's mouth. Like, he's working smarter, not harder. He can go for another 10 years with the same shtick and still put on amazing matches because he's just keeping it simple. And people hating on him for being able to do that, like, I don't see it. Like, I am proud of Joey Ryan for being able to do this because it's the dream for wrestlers as they get further and further into their career to be able to, if not stay at the same level, to be able to work smarter, not harder, to be able to put on a great show for people, entertain the crowd more so than do more and more spurts of athleticism to make up for it. So I'm going off in a tangent here, but like I said, Joey Ryan faced off against Priscilla Kelly, and she's been making headlines with her wrestling events, how she's been vomiting. There was a tampon spot, I believe, a few weeks ago, and we're back to vomit because what happened, it was in Quintessential Pro Wrestling in Las Vegas. These two squared off. Joey performed his airplane spin. The repeated spins made Priscilla nauseous, and she puked down Joey's pants. So she puked on the King of Dong Style. She puked on the dong of the King of Dong Style. It's a weird thing. Joey Ryan even put up on his Twitter, "Rest in peace, wrestling." As much as, so like I said, she is the female Joey Ryan, but with bodily fluids. As much as we want to hate on her, she's keeping her name in professional wrestling. She's staying relevant. And there's not, as has been pointed out to me as well, there's not very many free agents in the women's division who could realistically move on to bigger and better things like All Elite Wrestling if need be. I don't know, maybe she could eventually down the line have like a gimmick as part of All Elite Wrestling. I don't know if she wants to be really known as the Vomit Girl. We'll see. But watch the video. As much as it sounds putrid and vile, it was a little bit funny. I had a little bit of a chuckle. And to see these two workers who, again, work smarter, not harder. If you can make money and entertain people doing simple things like this compared to doing a dozen flips, hurricanrana, sentons, and kick out at one, like, you're doing things right in the land of professional wrestling. You're living the dream. I think that's about all the time we have, guys. If you like what we do here, guys, make sure to leave a comment and give us a little 5-star review. We'd love to hear from you guys. If you want to follow me, I am at Mr Myster1ous with a 1 and 7 I on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Hit me up. We'll have a swell old chat. If you want to follow our super producer, Greg, who is probably happy to hear about Priscilla Kelly's latest escapades, you can follow him at Greg Unchained on Twitter or at the Greg Unchained on Instagram. If you want to follow us, we are the B Plus Wrestling on our socials, at the B Plus Wrestle on Twitter because wrestling wouldn't fit. And of course, guys, if you want to contribute to our Patreon, please do so. Any amount you can spare would be greatly appreciated. All the money goes into creating more content for you guys. We love to give you a better range of content and better range of services to offer you guys to expand on the Australian scene, give you coverage on the international scene, of course, but we want to expand into everything, guys. We want to get our finger in as many pies as possible. Like, share, subscribe, hit that 5-star review. Thank you guys so much for listening. I've been Mr Myster1ous, and I'll see you later.
Hold one. Arm drag.
You're not done with this. Get out. Let me tell you a personal story about Vince McMahon.
You just made the list.
So, no speak English.
Dummy.
Goodbye and good night.
Hold two. Arm bar.
This is the worst town I've ever been in.
It's still real to me, damn it. Dummy. Hold three. the moss-covered, three-handle family credential.